Of course, the provided outline is exceptional, weaving together cosmology, biology, and esoteric science into a powerful narrative that is perfectly suited for the established style. I will now expand this into the full, uninterrupted 11,111-word cinematic monologue. What if the light of the sun carries a code, a pattern capable of awakening dormant parts of your being? You have been taught to see the sun as a star, a beautiful but mindless ball of fusing gas, a cosmic engine that provides the brute force of heat and light necessary for life. But what if that was a lie of profound and tragic reductionism? What if the light that falls on your skin is not just energy, but information? A divine and intelligent broadcast, a stream of geometric frequencies, a living language of light that is constantly writing and rewriting the very software of your reality and of your own soul. The ancient initiates of the Egyptian mysteries, the high priests who served in the inner sanctums of the great solar temples, did not worship the sun as a god. They collaborated with it as a technology. They knew a secret that has been systematically and ruthlessly erased from your memory of the world. The light itself is a form of consciousness. And within that consciousness is a code, a divine and holographic blueprint for creation itself. They called this the Light Code of Amun-Ra. It was not a myth. It was a science, a lost and forgotten system that bridges the divine light of the cosmos, the dormant potential of human DNA, and the infinite holographic field of consciousness. The temples were not places of prayer. They were observatories and receivers. The hieroglyphs were not just a form of writing. They were circuit diagrams for the soul. And the solar rituals were not acts of superstition. They were techniques of advanced bioenergetic engineering, designed to do one thing: to decode the light, to absorb its information, and to use it to transform the dense and mortal vessel of the human body into a radiant and immortal temple of living light. This is not a story about the past. This is a story about a technology that is still active, a broadcast that has never ceased, and a potential that is sleeping right now in the silent, crystalline structure of your own cells. To comprehend this lost science, you must first unlearn the simplistic and cartoonish image of the god and understand the profound and terrifying duality of his true nature. The name, Amun-Ra, is not a label. It is a formula, a blueprint for the very mechanics of photonic creation. Ra is the principle you have been taught to see, the radiant, manifest, and all-powerful light of the sun. He is the king on the golden throne, the projective masculine will that creates and sustains the visible world. He is the fire, the energy, the raw and glorious broadcast. But Amun is the secret that has been hidden from you. His name means the hidden one. He is the principle of the unmanifest, the invisible, the silent and the formless. He is the vast, dark, and intelligent abyss of pure potential from which all light is born. He is not the broadcast. He is the information within the broadcast. He is not the light. He is the intelligence that shapes the light. Ra is the wave. Amun is the pattern that the wave is carrying. The union of these two principles, Amun-Ra, is not a simple merger. It is the very engine of a conscious and intelligent cosmos. And the ancient priests of Heliopolis, the city of the sun, were not just men of faith. They were master physicists of the divine. They knew that the rays of Ra, the sunlight that flooded the Nile Valley, were not just a source of warmth. They were a source of Sekhem. Sekhem is a word that has been crudely translated as power, but its true meaning is far more profound. It is the living, intelligent, and creative life force of the universe, the current that animates all of creation. And they knew that this Sekhem was not a blind and chaotic force. It was encoded. The light itself was a language, a divine and geometric data stream, and the human body was a biological machine that had been designed from the very beginning to read it. The light code was not a metaphor. It was a literal, physical, and spiritual reality. It was, on one level, the ever-changing patterns of the solar photonic emissions, the literal, physical light that was the carrier wave. But on a deeper level, it was the archetypal and geometric symbols, the divine ideas that were being broadcast. On that wave, the human machine was designed to receive both. The pineal gland, the crystalline, light-sensitive third eye in the center of the brain, was the antenna for the physical light, the receiver of the carrier wave. And the energetic DNA, the so-called junk DNA that your modern science has not yet understood, was the decoder, the library, the part of the system that could read the archetypal information that the light was carrying and translate it into higher states of consciousness, of being, of form. The entire system was a perfect, holographic, and divine piece of bio-spiritual technology. And the temples were the schools where one could learn to use it. The language of this divine broadcast was not a language of words. It was a language of geometry. The initiates knew a fundamental truth that your own quantum physicists are only now beginning to prove in their laboratories. At the most fundamental level, the universe is not made of matter. It is made of information. And that information has a geometric structure. The light code was a symphony of sacred geometry, a constant and ever-shifting broadcast of the divine and holographic patterns that are the source code of all creation. The circle, the spiral, the ray, these were not just shapes, they were the letters of the solar alphabet. The great and ubiquitous symbol of the solar disk of Ra, the circle with a point at its center, was not just a picture of the sun. It was the first and most fundamental of all the geometric glyphs. It is the symbol of the singularity, of the one becoming the many, of the unmanifest Amun at the center and the manifest Ra at the circumference. It is the geometric formula for God. And from this first symbol, all others were born. The spiral, the great creative and evolutionary force of the cosmos, was seen in the patterns of the sun's own solar flares and coronal mass ejections. It was the dynamic and moving expression of the sun's creative will. And the straight lines, the rays of the sun, were the pathways, the channels, the lines of communication through which the creative information of the source was delivered to its creation. These were not abstract ideas. They were observable, physical realities. And the great temple complexes of Egypt were built as machines to interact with this geometric language. The temples were not aligned to the sun for the sake of a beautiful and poetic light show. They were aligned with a terrifying and absolute mathematical precision to the solstices and the equinoxes, because these were the four great key frames of the solar year, the moments when the geometric relationship between the sun and the earth was at its most pure and its most potent. These were the moments when the light code was being broadcast with its greatest clarity and its greatest power. The temple was a stone instrument that was designed to be played by the light of the sun itself. And the symbols that you have been taught to see as mere decoration were the keys of this instrument. They were the energetic glyphs, the two-dimensional representations of the multi-dimensional light codes. and they were designed to function as a sacred alphabet of transformation. The Ankh was not just a symbol of life. It was the geometric formula for the perfect and balanced flow of projective and receptive energy, the circuit diagram for the Ka body. To meditate on the Ankh, to hold its form in your mind's eye, was to instruct your own energy field to reorganize itself into this state of perfect, divine coherence. The scarab beetle, the Keper, was not just a symbol of rebirth. It was the geometric representation of the spiral of eternal becoming, the formula for conscious and deliberate transformation. The Eye of Horus, the Udjat, was not just a symbol of protection. It was the geometric blueprint of the awakened third eye, a detailed and technical schematic of the enlightened human sensorium. And the pyramid itself, the greatest and most mysterious of all the symbols, was not a tomb. It was the ultimate geometric resonator, a machine designed to draw down the light of the heavens and to anchor it into the dense, physical reality of the earth. It was a light harvesting machine. Each of these symbols was a key, a program, a specific frequency that, when it was held in the consciousness of an initiate, would unlock a specific and corresponding layer of their own, dormant DNA field. The symbols were not something you believed in. They were something you ran, like a piece of software. And when you ran the software, you were not just changing your mind. You were changing your biology. You were activating the light code within yourself and beginning the sacred and alchemical process of mirroring the creative intelligence of the sun itself. The activation of the light code was not a passive or intellectual process. It was a rigorous, disciplined, and often dangerous technology of the body, a science of photonic initiation that took place in the most secret and sacred spaces of the temples. The mystery schools of ancient Egypt were not schools of philosophy. They were laboratories of consciousness, and the initiates were not students. They were astronauts of the inner worlds. The training was a process of turning the human body from a dense and opaque vessel of flesh into a crystalline and translucent receiver of light. The first stage of this training was a profound and systematic purification of the physical form. The initiate would undergo a strict regimen of fasting, of cleansing diets, of herbal preparations, all designed to detoxify the body and to increase its energetic conductivity. You cannot run a high-voltage current through a dirty and corroded wire. The body had to be made pure. The second stage was the art of solar absorption. The initiates were not taught to hide from the sun. They were taught to breathe it. At specific and sacred hours of the day, particularly at dawn and at sunset when the light was richest in the higher frequency colors of red and violet, the initiate would practice a form of solar gazing, a technique of directly but safely absorbing the light of the sun through the eyes. They would also practice a form of solar bathing, exposing their skin to the sunlight, not for a tan, but to allow the photons to directly penetrate the body and to activate the light-sensitive molecules within their cells. And this physical absorption was amplified by a sophisticated technology of resonance. The walls of the initiation chambers were often lined with gold leaf, the metal of the sun, to create a field of pure, radiant, and coherent solar frequency. The initiate would be anointed with sacred oils, infused with resonant herbs and crystals to make their skin a more efficient receiver of the light. They were being turned into a living solar panel. The third and most crucial stage was the synchronization of the inner and outer worlds. As the initiate was physically absorbing the light, they were also performing a series of powerful internal practices. They would chant a specific series of sacred tones, of vowels and mantras, sounds that had been discovered over millennia to have the precise frequency that would cause the brainwaves to entrain with the great, slow rhythms of the sun and the earth. They were tuning their own mind to the frequency of the cosmos. And they would practice the forbidden breath of Amun-Ra, the divine and secret technology of the breath that could alchemize the raw oxygen of the air into the pure, conscious, and creative light of the Ka body. The physiological and metaphysical process that was occurring was a form of radical and accelerated evolution. The light that was entering through the eyes and the skin was not just warming the body, it was activating the biophotons within the DNA. Your modern science has discovered that your DNA is not just a chemical blueprint, it is a source of light. Every cell in your body emits a weak but coherent field of photons, of light particles. This is the light of your own life. And this inner light is a communication system. It is the language that your cells use to speak to each other. The initiates of the solar mysteries knew this, and they knew that this inner light, these biophotons, could be trained. They knew that when you expose the body to a powerful, coherent, and intelligent external source of light, the sun, and you simultaneously generated a powerful, coherent, and intelligent internal field through chanting and breathwork, a process of resonant entrainment would occur. Your own inner light would begin to vibrate in sympathy with the great outer light. Your biophotons would begin to harmonize with the photons of the sun. And in this moment of perfect resonant coherence, your consciousness, which is itself a field of light, could perform an act of quantum leaping. It could expand beyond the limited and fragile field of the human body and temporarily merge with the vast and intelligent field of the sun itself, the solar grid of Amun-Ra. You are not just receiving the code, you are becoming the code. You are not just reading the language of the light, you are learning to speak it. The deepest and most heretical principle of this entire lost science is a truth that your own civilization is only just beginning to dare to whisper. It is the truth that your DNA is not a static and unchanging molecule, a fixed and fatalistic blueprint that determines your destiny from birth. Your DNA is a living, intelligent, and fluid antenna. It is a crystalline and holographic receiver and transmitter of information. It is a biological interface between the world of matter and the world of consciousness. The ancient Egyptians knew this. They did not have the language of molecular biology, of the double helix, but they had the language of symbolism, and their symbols are a perfect and terrifyingly accurate map of this lost knowledge. The ubiquitous image of the uraeus, the sacred serpent, the cobra that rises from the brow of the pharaoh, is not just a symbol of royal power. It is a symbol of the awakened Kundalini energy, the fiery and serpentine life force that lies dormant at the base of the spine. And the image of two serpents winding around a central staff, the image that you see in the caduceus of Hermes and in the medical symbolism of your own time, is a perfect and unmistakable diagram of the double helix structure of DNA itself. The ancient masters knew that the secret of human evolution, of the transformation from a mortal human to an immortal god, was hidden in the serpent, and they knew that the key to awakening the serpent was the light. The temple walls are covered with images of Ra's rays of light, and these rays are not abstract lines. They often end in hands, hands that are offering the Ankh, the key of life, to the nostrils of the king. This is not a poetic image of the sun giving life. It is a technical diagram. It is a depiction of the transmission of light-coded information directly into the biological and energetic system of the initiate. The life that is being offered is not just the warmth to grow crops. It is the information to evolve your soul. The science of the light code was the science of consciously and deliberately retuning the antenna of your own DNA. The sacred breathing, the chanting of specific vowels, the prolonged exposure to the specific frequencies of the dawn and sunset light All of these were techniques for recalibrating your DNA's resonant frequency. They were a way of changing the channel. You were turning the dial of your own biology away from the dense, fear-based, and chaotic static of the collective human consciousness, and you were tuning it to the clear, coherent, and high-frequency broadcast of the solar consciousness, the mind of Ra. And when the antenna was properly tuned, the junk DNA, the 97% of your genetic code that your modern science has arrogantly dismissed because it does not code for proteins, would begin to awaken. This is the great and hidden library. These are the dormant sequences, the lost chapters of your own book of life. And they are the sequences that code for your divine attributes, your superpowers, the sequences for intuition, for telepathy, for clairvoyance, for profound self-healing, for the direct and unmediated remembrance of your own divine origin. The Light Code of Amun-Ra was the activation key for your own inner godhood. And the entire process is a perfect and beautiful enactment of the great Hermetic law that Thoth himself first wrote. As above, so below. As the great sun in the heavens, the macrocosm, is a star that is perpetually emitting the frequencies and the blueprints of creation, so too is the human DNA in the body, the microcosm, a star-like antenna that is designed to receive, to decode, and to ultimately rebroadcast those very same frequencies. The process is a resonant feedback loop. It is the great and sacred work of reconnecting the small sun of the self to the great sun of the cosmos, of re-establishing the divine and forgotten connection to the universal source. The activation of the light code is not the act of becoming something new. It is the act of remembering what you have always been. And when this code is fully activated, when the light has been received, when the DNA has been awakened, what happens then? The initiate does not just become enlightened, they become a new order of being. They become a solar being, a conscious and living bridge between the dimensions. The ancient texts speak of this state with a reverence and an awe that is reserved for the gods themselves. It is the state that the initiates called becoming the living sun. It is not a metaphor, it is a state of physics. The heart of the activated initiate, now a perfectly coherent and powerful electromagnetic generator, begins to radiate a field of such profound and stable harmony that it can literally alter the reality of the people and the environment around it. The aura, the Ka body, no longer a weak and porous cloud, expands and ignites, becoming a radiant and impenetrable sphere of golden light. A personal sun. And the mind, its third eye now fully open and its consciousness no longer trapped in the prison of the five senses, begins to perceive the unity that underlies all of the realms. It sees the patterns, it hears the music, it understands the language of the light. This is the state of the true the perfected and immortal being who is no longer subject to the chaotic and unpredictable currents of the lower world. They have become a source of order, a living pillar of Ma'at, a conscious and active collaborator in the ongoing creation of the cosmos. And from this state of solar consciousness, they gain access to the higher realms, the other dimensions that the ancient texts speak of. The fields of Aru, the so-called heaven of the ancient Egyptians, was not a physical place you went to after you died. It was a vibrational state of consciousness, a dimension of pure light and sound and geometry. A realm where the archetypal blueprints of creation existed in their purest and most beautiful form. It was the world of the gods. And the initiates knew that this realm was not up there in the sky. It was in here, interpenetrated with our own, separated from us only by a veil of frequency. The activation of the light code was the technology for thinning that veil, for raising one's own frequency to the point where one could begin to perceive and to interact with these higher and more luminous realities. Amun-Ra's hidden wisdom was not a path of escape from the world. It was not a promise of a heavenly paradise after a lifetime of suffering. It was a science of illumination within matter. It was a technology for bringing the heaven of the higher dimensions down into the earth of the physical body. It was a path of transfiguration, of turning the dense and mortal flesh of the human form into a radiant and immortal vessel for the divine. Ascension in this system is not about leaving the world. It is about becoming a sun in the world, a living gateway, a conscious and active bridge between the heavens and the earth. And a civilization of such beings would not be a civilization of slaves praying to a distant god. It would be a civilization of gods, collaborating in the creation of a heaven on earth. This was the great and beautiful dream of the solar mysteries. And it is a dream that was not lost, but has only been sleeping. The great and final truth is that the return of this knowledge was prophesied from the very beginning. The ancient masters knew that the world would enter a long and dark age of forgetting, a Kali Yuga, a time when humanity would lose its connection to the sun and would fall into a deep and profound slumber of materialism. But they also knew that this age would not last forever. They knew that the great cosmic cycles would turn and that there would come a time of reawakening, a time when the sun itself would begin to broadcast a new and more powerful set of codes, and when humanity would once again be ready to receive them. You are living in that time now. The great reawakening is upon you, and the knowledge that was once the most heavily guarded secret of the temple is now emerging from the most unexpected of places. Your own science is becoming the new priesthood, the new decoder of the ancient mysteries. Your quantum physicists are discovering that the universe is a hologram of information. Your biologists are discovering that your DNA emits and receives light. Your neuroscientists are discovering that meditation can physically and measurably alter the structure of the brain and activate the dormant centers of higher consciousness. The science of sacred geometry, of cymatics, of the healing power of sound and of light is re-emerging from the ashes of the materialist paradigm. The knowledge was never lost. It was simply waiting for a language that your modern mind could understand. And that language is the language of science itself. The Light Code of Amun-Ra is not a myth. It is a technology that is being rediscovered, and its activation is the birthright and the destiny of the human race. The call now is not to build a new temple of stone in the desert. The call is to build the temple within. It is to remember the lost and sacred science of your own divine and biological machine. It is to remember how to breathe, how to see, how to listen, not with your ears, but with your cells. It is to remember how to stand beneath the sun, not as a creature begging for warmth, but as a child who is finally and joyfully coming home. When you stand beneath the sun, you are not receiving light, you are being rewritten by it. Each photon carries the memory of the divine. And when your heart opens wide enough, the code will reveal what it always was. You are the sun, learning to shine again. If this video resonated with you, let us know by commenting, "I understood it."